Implicit bias, sometimes referred to as implicit social cognition, is when we have negative attitudes or stereotypes towards a person or a group of individuals that we aren't even consciously aware of, but that still affects our understanding or actions and decisions. These biases may actually be the opposite of what we consciously think about our beliefs or how we choose to project our beliefs, meaning implicit bias is not accessible through introspection. Implicit biases are pervasive, meaning everyone possesses them, and we often tend to hold unfavorable implicit bias towards other groups but not our own. We often harbor stereotypes and gravitate towards certain individuals without consciously realizing that we do so. In the workplace, this can sometimes appear as affinity bias. This is the tendency for people to connect with others who share similar interests. When companies hire for cultural fit, they may also be succumbing to affinity bias. When hiring teams meet someone they like and who they know will get along with their team, it's usually because that person's shared similar interests and experiences. Unfortunately, this doesn't really help a team grow and diversify. Implicit bias develops over a lifetime through exposure to messages. Those messages might be explicit statements of bias, heard from family or a friend, or direct observation of bias. Or the bias messages might be indirect, such as stereotypes learned from advertisements and perpetuated by the media. Implicit bias is also influenced by a lack of exposure. If an individual has no exposure to a new experience or direct contact with members or groups they are not members of, they are more likely to believe the stereotypes. Implicit biases have a great impact on society because even when they don't predict our actions as individuals, they often predict group actions, especially when we are with a group of people who are like us. In fact, they can lead to systemic injustices against people who are marginalized or treated unfairly in society. For example, someone with implicit biases about race might not act in overtly racist ways, but their implicit bias still contributes to the passive support of any systemic racism when they are members of that majority group. The issue with implicit bias is that people are not aware they are contributing to actions or systems that negatively impact individuals and groups. Examples include resumes with Anglo-sounding names receiving substantially more callbacks than those with diverse names of other origins, or assigning a technical project to a younger person in the office based on the assumption that an older employee may not have those skills. It is really vital to have an open mind and be willing to unlearn. This is how we can begin to unpack implicit bias. This is a complex task because you're trying to unlearn deeply ingrained ideas. It will likely take multiple strategies employed over a long period of time. However, it is necessary and important work. Some strategies that have been found to be effective include awareness, embracing diversity, exposure to counter-stereotypical examples, and working together on a common task with equal status. Unconscious biases play a role in how we understand the larger world around us. This is important to remember as we create data-driven technologies. It can cause overgeneralization and discrimination that appear in our systems and can create unfair and disadvantaged futures for certain communities and populations.